If you find yourself wondering, how can I help my toddler or preschooler process emotions that are coming up for them to kind of like avoid or prevent meltdowns, tantrums, or just general struggles, then the answer is play. Around 2 years old, toddlers are innately capable of empathy, but just because they can understand and connect to that feeling in others does not mean they know what to do with it or that it makes sense for them in their bodies. The next stage happens really around 3 years old, where they start learning how to process what they're feeling and make sense of it. This is kind of that fun stage where we can help avoid creating a dysfunctional empath as an adult, as well as create that long-lasting relationship with our kid that does not require us to be the perfect parent, and it does not require us to giving in to anything they want whenever, which like doesn't work anyway. So this is really going to be the best communication hack I can give you for your 3 to 6 year olds. We build resilient little humans through play, and resiliency is really the goal when it comes to emotions, that we can handle it, that we're elastic with it, that we can move up and down that polyvagal ladder that I talked about in previous videos. Because if you guys are new here, my name is Rachel from Confused Mom. Welcome to my channel. This video is part of a whole series about toddler and preschool emotions. I think we all know play is the work of the child, as Dr. Montessori said, meaning like their entire world is play. It's experimentation, it's risk-taking, it's all of that. But the thing with play too is it makes things concrete. So it takes an abstract concept that may seem really big, scary, it's that unknown, and puts it into something they can hold in their hand and begin to organize and make sense of before having to live through it. It also gives them an opportunity to express things that they don't necessarily have words for yet. So it gives you a chance to peek inside a toddler's world and gain insight based off of how they arrange certain characters, the colors they choose, the storylines they choose, and so much more, which we're going to dive more into that in our first play activity I'm going to give you. So don't worry, I'm just kind of going high level here. It also creates a lot of safety with emotions. So especially like with a firstborn child who looks to their parents a lot of the time, see how they'll fit into this family system, they tend to be a little perfectionistic and type A. And so they tend to be the kids that do the right thing even when they don't want to. And this gives them a chance to play with that other part of themselves. Or if they're kind of the bad kid, I hate using these labels, but we're going to use them because they're things that we all understand. It gives them a chance to rewrite some of the harder stories that they may have had to live. Play is far enough removed from them, even though like in some 3-year-olds cases, they literally may name their character their own name, but it's far enough removed where it feels safer to talk about, but it's still close enough to them that it's helping them emotionally and socially develop and mature. But it gives them a chance to maybe deal with some feelings that they have suppressed. All sorts of different things are happening here. It also gives you an opportunity to help them develop their coping skills. So you can sit there and tell a toddler or preschooler all you want to breathe, 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 but that does not necessarily mean they're going to do it. But now you integrate it into a play storyline, and before you know it, it actually starts to transfer into their daily life. Of course, playing with our toddlers provides a sense of connection, which is really what they want. It helps them feel less alone in their world and with their feelings. So there's going to be 3 types of play we cover in this video. Number 1 is going to be data collection, number 2 is going to be physical transitions, and then number 3 is going to be emotional processing and skill building. Probably could come up with some better names, but at least each one is going to tell you what we're doing. And just so you're aware, there's a blog post version of this video if you need to go back and refer to anything. And like I mentioned before, this video is part of a larger series all about toddler and preschool emotions. So be sure to go back and check out those past videos, as well as hit that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss future videos. So the first technique we're going to cover is data collection. So this is adapted from sand tray therapy, basically. And you can really apply this to anything. I call it data collection because you're basically getting insight into how your child is perceiving stuff. A lot of the times we project our own stuff onto kids, and so this is a really nice, safe way to not only get insight onto things they may not have the words to express yet, but also things they may be afraid to express out of fear of rejection. So for example, new sibling coming into the home, a lot of times this is super hyped up to toddlers. They may very well feel like if I say I don't like having a sibling, they could be discarded from the family. Irrational, I know, but again, they don't necessarily have an outlet to say that yet or know that that's safe to say. So for this example, that's what we're gonna do. And in traditional sand tray therapy, you have a structure. So that would be the actual sand tray. Obviously, you can use the sand tray, but you don't need it. You could literally use a tabletop like I'm using here. You could literally go into your backyard with some sticks and make a thing with sticks. You could use a Sarah silk and lay out a silk and have that be it. Really, any sort of just defined space is what we're gonna look for here. And then you're gonna need characters. So you want to give your child as much freedom to choose the characters in this as possible. In traditional sand tray therapy, they have walls and walls of figurines that children can choose from, and each one represents like a different set of insight. You obviously don't need to have walls and walls of figurines. I personally love the Love Every block set for this. It has just a ton of colors and shape that can give us a really, really good insight. Another little kind of toddler emotion note that I probably should have put in a previous video, but I'm thinking of it now, is if you're ever unsure, like having your toddler talk about a feeling, you can just ask them, like, if mad was a color, what color do you think it would be? Scared was a color, what color do you think it would be? And you can even do that in this type of play to add emotion hats onto your doll. So like if calm was a color, what color do you think? Oh, okay. So should we put the calm hat on this person now? Oh, okay. Again, why I like this, because you can kind of let it guide you to all sorts of different things, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna go back to simplifying this now. That's just my love for this block set. Basically what you're gonna do, and I'll show you an example of having them choose in a moment, is you're gonna say, hey, do you wanna play with me? You wanna play house? Sure, okay. All right, this is gonna be our house, this little thing right here. Who lives in this house? You may say, me. They may give you a name and be like, oh, okay, Reagan lives in this house. And you'll be like, what color is Reagan? Which one of these do you think is Reagan? Purple one. Okay, cool. And we hand the child it. We say, where's Reagan in the house? And have her place it wherever she wants. Who else lives in this house? You. Oh, okay, there's a mommy. Which one's the mommy? What color is the mommy? And she knows my favorite color is green, so she always goes with green. Where's the mommy in the house? Can you show me where mommy goes in this house? So then she'll put it down, say like, oh, what part of the house is that? What part of the house is that? If you want, you don't have to ask any of those questions yet. You can just gather your characters. So you'd go through this. We have a daddy, we have a baby brother. And even after you get everyone that lives in your house, you still want to ask, is there anyone else that lives in this house? Because you may be surprised. You could have like a grandparent that's there a lot, a nanny that's there a lot, and in your child's mind, even though they don't sleep there, they're organizing that person as part of the house family system. So just because you think you have all the characters, always check in one more time to make sure you have all the characters. Basically what you're gonna do, you could either, as you were pulling the characters, have them place it in the structure, or just pull all the characters to start and then place it into the structure. Again, you're gonna let your child choose where everyone goes. And that alone, the spatial arrangement, and even potentially the colors that are chosen are going to give you a lot of insight. And you may ask your toddler a question, like my daughter, like I said, always chooses green for me because she knows green is my favorite color. But like this block set has a few different shades of green here. And if I go to pull this one, sometimes she'll insist on this one. And so just in color theory and color therapy, generally the more pastel the color, the more gentle it is. And the harsher the color, the more aggressive it is. So like light green typically means soft and gentle growth, whereas like a dark green means a more rapid pressure cookery growth. And kids are pretty intuitive, like they tend to have a lot of insight on color theory. Don't just assume like if I've pulled out green before for her and she's like, no, not that one, because she knows what colors are in here. So if you're first doing something like this, make sure they have everything laid out so they can see them all fully. But that alone, the shade of the color they choose is insightful. The placement of everybody is insightful. You can ask them who goes where. You could ask them maybe like how they're feeling or why, and just kind of let them guide the play. Like what does morning look like? What happens in the morning in this house? And let them act that out. And so you can actually get a complete insight into their world of how they have organized your home in this way in their head. And that can give you an idea if your child is actually struggling with a new sibling or if it's something else. So like if I did this whole thing and my toddler like seems to totally integrate baby sibling, I would probably do this again, but set it up for school and kind of go through each of those things in their life where there is some separation and distance from you and see like where is a disconnect happening. And that kind of leads us to the next part of this, physical transitions. So if you're struggling to talk with your toddler about an upcoming physical transition, start of school, change of schools, separation between parents, this can really help make things concrete and take an abstract, scary, unknown concept that you're trying to verbally communicate and put it into something they can see and understand. So again, we're gonna go with that same example of a new sibling in the house, only now toddler is starting school or changing schools. You can go through the same process where they choose the characters. In this one, because it's more about the physical, showing them the physical transition, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to collect as much data about how they're perceiving the colors of the family and all that type of stuff, but you can have them choose the characters too. They love doing that. So if your child is having a hard time with the transition to school after baby comes, this is what that would look like. This is your house and this is where they're physically transitioning to, so in this case, school. What you would do, start off in your house with everybody that lives there, and you would kind of just show what happens in the day. So Cappy wakes up, Mommy wakes up and gets him, then Reagan and Daddy get up too. That's staying the same. Everyone plays and has breakfast and does their thing, and then it's time for Cappy's nap, and Mommy puts him down. That's staying the same. But then Reagan and Daddy get in the car and drive to school. That's different. Reagan goes to school, Daddy says bye, and drives back home. Mommy and Daddy go to work. That's staying the same. And when Cappy wakes up, the babysitter comes to play with Cappy. That's staying the same. Mommy and Daddy work, Reagan's at school, babysitter and Cappy are together. When the babysitter leaves, Cappy takes a nap. Mommy puts him down. When she finishes, she goes back to work. That's staying the same. When Cappy wakes up, he goes with Daddy to go get Reagan from school, and everyone gets in the car and comes home together. That's different. And then Reagan and Mommy have playtime, and then everybody goes in the pool and has dinner. That's staying the same. Cappy goes to sleep, then Reagan goes to sleep, then Mommy and Daddy go to sleep. That's staying the same. So you could do this every like afternoon or evening to kind of give them an idea about what to expect the next day, especially if your kid's having any sort of sleep problems. They could be a little anxious about what tomorrow looks like. You could also do this in the morning so they can learn the rhythm of their day. And then the last set of play we're going to cover is the emotional processing and skill building type of play. You're really getting into the storytelling aspect of play informed by real life events. If you are just like super uncomfortable and that whole physical transition play was like, okay, this is as comfortable as I feel in coming up with a storyline, that would be my suggestion of where to start. You are literally reenacting struggles your toddler is having with different endings, how it typically goes, a coping skill. As you become more and more comfortable in play and co-creating with your toddler, you want to have them involved as much as possible in this storytelling. That's going to really help them build up their internal coping systems, so to speak. So basically, I came up with like a really simple formula based off of the Choose Your Own Adventure book. You're going to have your beginning where you as the narrator are going to set the stage based off of a struggle your toddler is having with real life events. And like earlier we said, okay, this is the house and this is what's happening. It would be very similar to that. And then as far as the middle goes, this is where, depending on your comfort level, you invite your toddler in as much as possible to provide behind the scenes insights and so that they can really start playing with their emotions. So questions to ask in the middle would be, what do you think this one's feeling right now? What's going on here? What happens next? What could that person do now? So those types of thoughts and questions we'd ask ourselves if we were telling a story. You're now having your toddler tell the story. Your toddler's choosing what happens next and how they respond. And this is really important because this is where they get to play with their emotions. This is where they get to see the different responses that happen. And then the ending is sometimes there's a happy ending. She takes 5 deep breaths and it all works out. It wasn't a big deal. But sometimes the endings are kind of disappointing. And the ending is, well, next time I should have chosen better and maybe I wouldn't feel like this. Well, that sounds kind of condescending, so don't say it like that. Maybe had I chosen to share my toy earlier, I would have people to play with. Something more, realistic here. Like, don't be a brat to your toddler. And with time, as you've introduced proactively more coping skills into the storyline, you will see how your toddler starts to pull upon those coping skills in the play storylines as well. And eventually that will transfer to their day-to-day life. And it can happen quicker than you think. It could also take like a year. You never know with kids.
Okay, so for the choose your own adventure play, it starts off pretty similar to the last one, where you're going to start off setting the stage and being the narrator. So we have Reagan's bed, we have Reagan, and we have Mommy. And Reagan's been having a hard time sleeping lately. They get into Reagan's bed, and Mommy reads a few books to her. Once upon a time, there was a princess. And once Mommy finishes reading the books, she goes to give Reagan a kiss. And at that point, you could literally just reenact what typically happens, or you can invite your toddler to tell you what happens next. You might lean over and whisper to your toddler, "What do you think happens when Mommy goes to give Reagan a kiss?" And your toddler might say, "She jumps out of bed to play, starts running around the room." Or you could just narrate that if that's typically how that goes. And then from there, basically, you would either do exactly what you typically do. "Reagan, it's time to get back in bed." "But I want to play." "I know you want to play, sweetie, but it's time for bed." From there, you could kind of drag this out into a bunch of different ways. So you could do exactly what you do in your house every day. If you try to leave the room, you could play that out. If you try to coax her back in with a back rub, you could try that out. You could ask your toddler, "Hey, what should Mommy do?" And so at this point, like to go kind of into that choose your own adventure formula, you might go ahead and say, Mommy's thinking, what could she do to help Reagan sleep? Do you have any ideas you could whisper to your toddler? If your toddler says no, because they may say no, you could say, "Okay, well, Mommy is starting to feel a little frustrated. And so Mommy is going to sit down on the edge of Reagan's bed while Reagan runs around playing, and she's going to go ahead and take some deep breaths. In through her nose and out." And she does this for a little while. And what do you think Reagan does? Does she keep playing, or does she choose to join Mommy? She chooses to join Mommy. Okay, so Reagan comes and sits down next to Mommy. And Mommy feels a lot more relaxed now. And then they take some deep breaths together. But then Reagan says she has to go pee. So Mommy goes and helps her. And then Reagan wants a drink of water. So then Mommy goes and helps her. And Mommy's starting to get a little bit more annoyed this time. She's starting to be more of like an orange in the annoyance zone here. And basically what you're doing is you're teaching your kid that when you get to red, you've lost your patience by using this type of color-coded model. You don't have to do this. It's a little bit more of an advanced thing, but this way you guys have a language in real life to explain where you're at. Mommy's starting to get frustrated. Reagan already peed. She already brushed her teeth, but now she's asking to do all these things again. And Mommy has to go do laundry dishes. She has housework she has to get to while Reagan's sleeping. And so Mommy feels like she's running out of time, and she's really wondering how to help Reagan so that she can get back to her housework. "Do you have any ideas, Reagan?" "Yeah, tickle my feet." Okay, so Mommy and Reagan get back in bed, and Mommy tickles her feet, and as she's doing it, Mommy's feeling a lot calmer. And all of a sudden, before she knows it, Reagan falls asleep. So that's one version of it. The other version of it that you could do using kind of that containment principle we talked about in the last episode of this series is basically set the stage again. Mommy goes to read the book. Reagan goes ahead and runs around and play. Mommy tries some deep breaths while feeling frustrated, but Reagan keeps playing. And now she's getting louder and louder, and now she's starting to throw her toys around the room while Mommy's breathing. So Mommy goes ahead, she takes some deep breaths, she calms herself down. She comes over to Reagan, she picks her up, she holds her, and she says, "You are safe. I am with you. You're having a hard time, but you can get through this." And as she holds her, she rocks her. "You are safe. You're having a hard time, but you can get through this. You are safe. You're having a hard time, but you can get through this." You are bigger than your feelings. You can take deep breaths. I am bigger than my feelings. I take deep breaths. And all of a sudden, Reagan falls asleep and mommy leaves. So there's different ways that you can go ahead and really adapt this depending on what you did. You can always use this red one if you ended up yelling at your child or getting angry yourself. You could use this to kind of process anything that you maybe feel regretful for from the night before and talk about how you could have made a different choice. So you can really kind of go through this. And after all this, you can say, oh man, you know, Reagan really didn't want to be held. When mommy went to go hold her, she kept saying, get off, get off, get off. I know that's something I didn't just show, but just that's like a different type of path this could have gone. And that didn't feel good for Reagan. Reagan was mad about being held like that. And what could Reagan have chosen to do differently so she didn't get to that point of being mad and being held? Could she have sat down next to mommy when she was doing her deep breaths and joined her in that? Yeah, that probably would have been good. Or maybe she could have sang a song to herself. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. So there's literally infinite possibilities in this. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. But basically, you're going to set that stage for narration. You're going to do a middle, involve your child as much or as little as you want, reenacting how it typically goes, or you going ahead and infusing coping skills. This is the best way to teach your child how to use those coping skills in real life, is not when you're actually in it, but it's through play like this.
And then you can really switch this up however you want. What happens when you lost your temper at bedtime because they wouldn't go to sleep, and repairing the relationship through play by taking responsibility for your feelings, apologizing, and using your own coping skills to regulate, like we've talked about in past videos. I will say, if you are just starting out with this type of play, to go like for the jugular on the toddler destroys their room and goes out of control could be like a lot for them. They may shut down and want to play a different activity, or they may only let you do this scenario one time that day because it's very uncomfortable for them at first. Like it may still be too close to them. So just keep practicing it. When I first started doing it, my toddler felt a little like weird about it. Then like I want to say like the next day she woke up and just asked to play it again. I'd love to hear what you guys end up coming up with. Let me know if this was helpful. If it was, like it, share it with a friend who might find it helpful. Be sure to go back, check out those past videos in this whole like preschool toddler emotion series. Be sure to check out my past Montessori at home tips. As always, my name is Rachel from The Confused Mom. Have a good one.